Welcome to Tony at 12. I'm Tony LeBlanc, and today I'm in conversation with Kathy Kissick, Chair of the Alderney Animal Welfare Society. And we're going to talk about the AAWS following your last year's Platinum Jubilee. 76 years old now, I hear.
No, 71, 70 years old.
Oh,
Platinum
was
was
it 70?
70,
Oh, well.
71 this year. And I
Oh,
don't
well.
look a day over 65.
Well, knock 35 off for you in any case, but there we are. Obviously, last year was very hectic from your point of view, but very successful.
Yeah, it was a really good year. It raised awareness. There were so many people on Alderney who still didn't know what we did. I think the title Animal Welfare Society is a bit of a misnomer because we are responsible for the welfare. I apologise for the screeching, it's a parrot in the background. Um, we we are responsible for the welfare of the animals on the island, but we're not a welfare society like a rescue centre.
No.
And I think we just needed to raise that awareness that we are a veterinary clinic and a kennels and cattery, but we will help with rescues as well. So it was so successful. We had so many events and raised so much money, lots of donations, lots of extra volunteers. Yeah, it was a really, really good event.
Yeah, I got along to a couple of the gigs, and they were really good fun, weren't they? You've got a
Yeah.
really good wide scope of members.
Yeah, we tried with the events to cover everything from the children right up to we went up to Connaught and we played Born Free film for them because we did a Born Free talk with John Knight, the vet, because he's involved with Born Free. So he talked
Yeah.
about his lions and work he's done with lions and pandas. Then we had the Born Free film, and then we took the DVD up and showed it at the Connaught and provided ice creams and things for all the ladies and gentlemen up there. And we did the children's, we did the open day, lots of events for the children down there. We had the garden party, and our finale was our afternoon tea in the 50s outfits down at the Bray Beach, which was really lovely. It was great. It just, the open day itself just opened up so many more avenues and just let people know what went on behind the scenes, because you forget, you bring your animal in, you drop it off, you pick it up again, you don't actually know what we're doing behind the scenes.
No, that's
So
right.
it was really good, really good.
And I mean, you've got some pretty sophisticated equipment and a lot of very talented people working
Yes.
there, so that works well. I was very interested in the John Knight lecture at the cinema. I thought that was a
Mhm.
really good little session and
Yeah,
went very well.
he hides what he does, doesn't he? He's
Yes,
very
we'd got no idea.
no, he's very very quiet about what he does because he just does it. It's his passion. He loves doing it. But what a great way of giving back to the world with
Mm,
that expertise that he's got. So it
mm.
was yeah, it was fascinating. I mean, even we learned, and he's always telling us and showing us pictures. But even we learned about the what he was actually doing with those lions and pandas and things. It's great, really good.
And I mean, it's such a departure, isn't it, for a veterinary surgeon to get into big game,
Yes.
in the way that he has.
Yes, he did a lot of work with London Zoo,
Yeah,
and then that sort of progressed from there. So he's always on call when there are animals to be rescued, and there are an awful lot from these petting zoos and and zoo collections that people have got in the all over the world.
mm, mm. No, very interesting that was. You've got a new patron.
We have, yes, Bruce Fogle, who is Ben Fogle's dad.
Oh yeah.
Bruce is a vet, a
Hmm.
veterinary surgeon. He has a practice in London, and he has agreed. I've known him for a while, and I knew him. He got the top award, the Queen's Medal Award last year from the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons, which is the mimic of the Golden Jubilee Award that I got in 2017. So we use that to an advantage to invite him along, and he's agreed to be our patron. He does a lot of work with West Sussex RSPCA, and has nurses, does a lot with training. He's very, very supportive of empowering nurses. So he's agreed to be our patron. So he's very useful for judging things. And he came over for our afternoon tea, which was really nice to see him over here. So
And
it's
then
just
he'll make regular visits, will he?
yes, he's hoping to come over quite regularly. We're hoping to get him to judge one of our art. One of our competitions that we're going to be running, hopefully with Raduna later on in the year, because he's off island, so it's someone independent, but he's
Yeah.
still involved very much with animal welfare, which is great. And we're doing a lot of SWAT. He had some various bits of equipment that we didn't need because we already had it, but we've been able to put him in touch with various hedgehog hospitals and things like that who really needed that bit of equipment. So we're really working really very very closely now, which is great, really good.
And he's obviously impressed with the way you're running the operation, yeah?
Yeah, he loves it. He was amazed at what we could do over here and the equipment that we had, and really supportive, particularly with rescue cats and dogs and rehoming as well. He's very, very supportive.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Now, picked up in Carole's name in inverted commas. Can you
Yes.
tell us a little bit about that?
In Carole's name is a sort of subsidiary of what we're doing in animal welfare. Carole Uzzell was on a committee member, a very dedicated committee member, and lived on Ireland with her husband, and sadly died very suddenly 2 years ago. 2 years ago this August, and her husband died a little while later. And on the back of that, we suddenly realised, because we had to rehome her two dogs and cats very quickly, and look after them at that time. And we realised that that actually is a market area where there is nobody here. So if somebody has to be rushed off to hospital, or has something critically ill, or has to rush home, can't make arrangements for their pets, then that's obviously quite a worry. And obviously if people die as well. So we set up in Carole's name, and that will be to rehome, to foster, to adopt, to look after, to go and do house visits, to leave animals at home, for anybody that's in that sort of dire circumstances. So we have a little bit of money put to one side to help with that. We've already done 3 lots of people in the last couple of months where we've helped them, where their animals have been very old and they were too old to go into kennels and very vulnerable. So it would be unfair to have somebody else to look after them. So we either have them at our house or one of the nurses' homes, or in this case, they couldn't go in the kennels. And the other ones we've got at the moment, we've got 3 cats in the cattery, which are being fostered and looked after, because they're again, they are vulnerable because the family is vulnerable at this stage. It's just to take that pressure off and give them something, one less thing to worry about. Do you want me to move the parrot out? Because she
No, it's
is
all right. No, I think it's
all right.
authentic.
She's
I
she
don't
doesn't
hear
normally
it.
do that.
Will it not say who's a pretty boy or anything?
No, but she might wolf whistle at you in a minute.
Pieces of 8. No, I think it adds to it. It adds to it. So keep the parrot there.
Okay, she can stay here.
Definitely. Interesting with Carole, when we first bought a place on Alderney 40 years ago, she was our next door neighbour
Right,
with her
right.
mother.
I mean,
So
such a lovely lady. I loved her animals and was so
yeah.
great for animal welfare. She just did such a lot of work for us. We just thought it'd be nice to keep that legacy going.
Yeah, of course.
And it's something that we knew we didn't have over here. So it's very similar to the Cinnamon Trust that they have in the UK, where we will step in and just like, don't worry about the animals. We will sort them out.
Yeah,
You go
yeah,
and get yourself
yeah,
sorted out.
yeah.
And
And
it's working very well.
don't worry too much about the fee, because you can show
Absolutely. If they want
compassion.
to give it, yeah, they want to give a donation, that's fine.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we'll sort it out. Do not worry
yeah,
about anything. We will sort it
yeah,
all out for you.
yeah, yeah. Now I've got on my list here links with reputable agencies wishing to rescue animals. Can you tell me a bit more about
Yeah,
that?
it's really difficult at the moment rescuing. There are lots and lots of international rescues begging people to take dogs and import them from all over the world, which is to be applauded. But there's also a lot of disreputable ones doing exactly the same. And it's quite difficult for a client to work out which is the reputable, which is the disreputable, because everybody will say, yes, they're fully vaccinated. Yes, they've been neutered. Yes, they've been tested for all these diseases that we have outside of Alderney, and in fact, some other areas in Europe, particularly the UK, that we're trying to link up because people find it difficult to get rescue kittens or dogs. Part of the reason is that when you apply to the UK, they don't know where Alderney is. They don't know what we've got here. They don't know the people that are asking for the animals. And they're having to be quite careful. I was explaining to a lady this morning that the reason that the UK won't just send you a dog or let you just go and pick a dog up is because they don't know you. They don't know the island. They don't know that you're not going to use that small dog as bait for dog fighting, because that is rife still in the UK. So they have all these steps in place that we can't match over here. Obviously, myself and the nurses and our new kennel supervisor can do house visits and home check visits and say, yes, this person is suitable. That isn't always enough for the UK rescues. So we've linked up with, through Bruce Fogle, with the Sussex RSPCA. So we have brought some kittens over for people that wanted kittens. And we can do the same for dogs. And we can do the same going back, because sometimes we have to rehome animals off island for a whole variety of reasons. And it is often better to get them off island rather than rehome within island, particularly cats, because they'll just find their way back home again, which can be quite distressing for the original owner. So we've linked up with GSPCA, we have very close links with anyway, and Sussex RSPCA. But we can't just go and get your kitten and ship it over. We did bring quite a few over in one go to try and keep the cost down. And it started off as it always does. There were 10 people wanted them, but it ended up only 4 would commit in the end. So we're having to be careful, but we have got those links, and we can put people in touch so they can look at the animals that are available on their websites. It's just trying to make sure that, first of all, the animal that these people get is suitable for them, because they have to be. You have to bond with them. You need to see them. And then secondly, that we're not bringing in diseases into this island that we haven't already got, because it is a risk. It is a high risk, because if they're not tested or haven't been tested properly, or vaccinated in some of the European countries, and there is that risk of us bringing in diseases that we really don't want over here. So we're trying to make it better for everybody, because we have had people who've brought dogs in and they are rescue dogs for a reason, and that reason isn't compatible with their lifestyle over here, and we've had to rehome again. And that's not fair for the dog, it's not fair for the family, particularly when there's children involved. It can be very stressful. So what our sort of plea is to everybody in Alderney is, please go and see the nurses, go and chat to the nurses before you commit to a purebred dog, a breeding dog, or a dog from, you know, wherever you're going to get it from. Go and talk to them first and let them do those groundwork checks to make sure that everything's vaccinated, and just make sure you know what's involved when you bring them over. There are some lovely dogs, but
if you get involved with a dodgy agency, I mean, presumably they can fake certificates of vaccination and all sorts of things.
We've had fake vaccination certificates. We've had them ticked where they've allegedly been tested for particular diseases, which is fine, but they don't tell the prospective owners that you need to carry on rechecking.
Yeah.
They can just anything. It can all be fake when they actually get them. It can even be not the same dog if they've done some dodgy work with the microchips.
And presumably it's a business, isn't it? It's, you know, the prime motive is money making, and you know, doesn't matter about the animal, doesn't matter about the recipient.
And there are some brilliant rescue centres. You know, so there are some. We still work with the Blind Dog UK that KTR or our previous vet nurses worked with, and they're reputable. They will double check that everything that we know is vaccinated. The certificates are all up to date. But we are finding that there are more, and people are desperate for a dog. These agencies know that, so they work on that desperation. And you really need to, you really do need to go and meet your prospective dog. It's for life. You know, it's going to be anything up to 16, 17 years. That you need to go and make sure you bond, that you like the look of them, that they are, you know, they're friendly, they are what they say they are, and they're the size they say they are. A number of people actually go and pick them up from the airport and realise they're twice as big as they thought they were in the photograph. If when we were saying to clients, if you're going to look at a puppy, you need to go and see mum, see dad, see the puppy, see them in situ, see them with mum, make sure it's a puppy and that is the mum that you're actually getting them from. And it should be the same with the rescue dogs, really. You do need to know what you're doing. If you watch the Doghouse on television, you know, they bond very much with that dog. And if it doesn't work out, and quite often people go, it isn't the dog for me, it's not what I thought it was going to be. And that's very sad if it gets to Alderney and we're in that situation. It's very traumatic for that pet.
Battersea presumably is still the yardstick for a lot of these things.
The what? Sorry,
the Battersea Dogs Home. You know.
Yeah, Battersea, but again, they're landed with a lot of dogs that have been there long term that they can't rehome, and they're often not rehomable for a reason. I mean, rescue dogs are there for a reason. It's not always their fault. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. The disreputable ones will tell you that it's good with cats, good with children, because they just want to move them on. And unless you meet that dog with your children or with your other pets, you're not going to know. You're really not going to know. And I just find it's very traumatic for the pets, very traumatic, particularly as they're coming across the sea to get to us. So go and see the nurses. They will be honest with you. They'll talk to you. They'll check things out for you. They know most of the rescue centres. They can ring up. They can check out what's been vaccinated, what hasn't, and we can move on from there. That's what we're there for.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, you know, I can remember a time that when there were lots of kittens available on the island. Presumably the whole of the feral population is more or less no longer exists, because
there are a couple of breeding ferals still on the island, and we had kittens last year. We had some found and 2 kittens that were rehomed. We did do a neutering and ear tipping on purpose because there were too many ferals, and it was an animal welfare issue because they were full of fleas. They had cat flu. They weren't being fed properly. They were getting very cold. They're getting picked off by the seagulls. So there are 2 breeding lots that we're aware of, but I mean, they stay underground and they'll only let you know they're there if they want you to know they're there, or they're poorly. So we do still have kittens from that, but a feral kitten is a feral kitten. And when you speak to most people, they'll go, they're lovely kittens, but we know they're still feral. Even
sure.
It's got that feral bit. And if you've got young children, they want to cuddle them and they want them to, you know, they need, there's a different need to a family that wants a feral kitten or a domesticated kitten. But they are still around. They're usually black and white.
What's the score on the island for chips for dogs and cats?
Microchipping. Dogs have to be, there's no legalities in the bailiwick for microchipping at all. Dogs coming in from the UK by law have to be microchipped at 8 weeks. Anything that's coming into us has to be microchipped. And cats now, I think it's July the 1st, they have to be by law microchipped, but not in the bailiwick. They haven't brought that in as law.
What are your views on that?
We'll
What do you feel about
we'll
that?
probably be lobbying for it. It's on Ireland, it probably doesn't have much of an impact because you immediately see my cat's gone missing, please look out for it.
Yeah.
Oh, look, we found it, it's come back. Or my dog's gone missing, and everybody knows this is whose dog's this, so it's so and so's, and it gets back to its owner. The problem is if we're then going to move them around, so if you're going to go back to the UK, or if you're moving from the UK with them. And the big problem with the microchips is that people forget to change the details. So we merrily microchip a stray dog, and we go into the database, and it says Regent Street, London, still because people haven't swapped it to the new address.
Yeah.
So that doesn't help us at all. Which is why we put the picture on Facebook and go, whose dog's this? So I can see why it needs doing, and it will hopefully cut down a little bit on the. It's the dog and cat thefts. That's what they're trying to cut down on in the UK.
But essentially, what you're saying is, if you want to take an animal back into the UK, you can have problems.
You need to have it microchipped. Yeah.
Can you do that?
A lot of people do.
Yeah. Can you do microchipping?
Yeah, we do microchipping at the clinic. You get the microchip, they double check it. We've got a chip scanner so we can check other dogs as well. So the big thing is people who've moved to Alderney need to remember to update their details with the microchip company, which you can just do online.
Yeah, yeah. Right, you're continually updating the clinic as medical advances take place. Have you got any big projects there at the moment?
We had the new X-ray machine we had to buy last year. We were doing really well, and we'd got lots of donations. We'd had lots of new things bought for us, and we'd got some money and more extra money in the bank for expansion. And then our X-ray machine went, all the motherboard went on it completely, and that was 25,000. So we did a little bit of moving around of monies and sorted it out as best we could, and we bought a new one.
Yeah,
had it all set up. And then, fortunately for animal welfare, somebody left us a legacy of 22,000.
Wow!
And so it just got paid off completely, which was fabulous. It was someone who'd been in here many years ago and had animals, and had left huge amounts to us and Battersea and GSPCA and various other places as well. So we could pay it all off. So we're up to date with the big equipment that we wanted. There's always a need for more, but at the moment we have what we need. But our big drive now is to expand the room sizes that we've got. So the plan is, or our big dream is, to make what was the old pet shop into 2 consulting rooms and a waiting room.
Okay.
Over there, so that both nurses can consult at the same time, and then when the vet's there, the nurse can consult as well. And then we will move around what's in the other side, so you'll end up with a bigger kennel area with a walk-in kennel as well, what we call a pre-op room. So that's a dirty room where you get your animal clipped up and ready for operations, and do dentals and any dirty work in there.
Yeah.
Then the operating room, and then what is the existing operating room will become what's called a diagnostic room, which will have our x-rays, our ultrasound, our laser, and all our lab equipment will go in there. And the plan is to try and clear the surfaces in our operating room so that it is as clean as we possibly can, because our other big drive is to try and cut down on the number of antibiotics we're using. Because if it's not a completely sterile environment, we have to give antibiotics to make sure they're covered. So I'm going to be doing a big drive for sustainability this year and going greener, because there is a big sustainability veterinary practice drive we can do, and to try and cut down the number of antimicrobials. So that will give the nurses at their own clinic and make that a little bit bigger and a bit easier over there. And it will mean that we can keep the operating facilities completely clean then, and just separate it out a bit. Otherwise, the pet shop's a wasted room if we don't use that.
The great thing about the whole situation is that you've got the buildings there already.
Yes.
It's not as if you've got to lob out hundreds of thousands for new buildings, modifying what you got.
Yeah, absolutely. And the trust owns the buildings, not the society, but the trust they pay for all the repairs and the upkeep of the buildings. But anything new, so the clinic, to build 2 new consulting rooms, that will come out of society money. They will fundraise to build that, but then the trust will maintain it once it's actually built. It'll just give us more room. We can then start looking at having a separate consulting room for cats, and we can have a portioned off area so that when cats are sitting waiting to be seen by the vet, you haven't got a dog next to them. So we've got a lot of ideas that we could just to make it more user friendly, and the nurses are so good and so experienced now that they can have a lot of input into that. So where we want to go with that, but they're all being used
as part of promoting the island for tourism. You're coming up with doggy daycare so people can bring their pets over. That sounds quite a good idea.
Yeah, doggy daycare. Two of the hotels, the Blonde Hedgehog and the Bray Hotel, are both becoming dog friendly, which is great. And they're going to have dog friendly rooms. But often people, particularly in the summer when they can't take them on the beaches, they want somewhere to go for their dogs to go. Perhaps they're going on one of the boat visits. So the
Mm.
doggy daycare means that they can just leave them with us in the kennels for the day. They'll get walked, they'll get whatever they want doing, brushing, they'll be fed, and there'll be somebody there to accept them and to be with them and to give them back at the end of the day. And we can do it for people that will have to go across to hospital if it's just a daycare and they just need to pop them in. It just means that more dogs on the island will get used to the kennels as well, because we
Yeah.
do find that people don't ever introduce them to a kennel, so then they don't want to when they get a bit older. But it just means that more people can come onto the island, but it means that we're in a bit more control of the dogs that are here as well, because we do see them being walked out in the heat of the day. We do see them. I've had to stop a couple of people. In fact, I've refused to let them have bikes because they're going to run the dog alongside the bike.
Oh, really?
Um,
Oh,
yeah,
God.
yeah. So we just refuse to rent the bikes out because
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a welfare issue. They forget when they get here how much, what are you going to do with your dog? Not everywhere is dog friendly. It's not all the pubs are dog friendly. So it just means there is somewhere to put them. We've sort of launched it last year, and we have a few people have taken us up on it, and a few are quite surprised that we've got that. So we'll be doing a big leaflet launch as well this year on that one.
So
It
watch this
just they're
space.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but, good idea. It's all about trying to make the island as comfortable for visitors as you can, and if they can bring their dog along and
And it's part
know
of the
that.
family, isn't it? The dog
Yeah.
is part of the
Yeah.
family. And if we
Yeah.
can be
Yeah.
inclusive and
Yeah.
we know they can go in our kennels where it's nice and cool, they can lie on the nice cool tile floors instead of being dragged around and walked up Bray Hill in the heat of the day, then it's good all round.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, forthcoming events after the 17th of June, because this is going out on the 17th of June.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Got a
Okay.
list?
I have. We have got, in fact, there's not quite a lot of them are coming before then, but
Yeah.
they'll all be advertised anyway. We've got on the 29th of June, we've got the Flag Day.
Yeah.
We've decided to tap into this time into Alderney Week, which I'll come to in a minute. We've got on the
Kathy,
30th.
can I interrupt you just for a minute? I'm an idiot.
Mm,
It should have been 17th of May.
okay,
So
right.
rewind.
Rewind. So 17th of May, right.
Yeah,
Let me
sorry.
see what
Yeah.
I can
A
get them all in
typo.
then. So
Yeah.
17th of May, 28th of May, we have our AGM,
Yeah.
which is 6:30 at the Bray Beach. And we'll be doing a really big updating everybody on where all their money got spent, what we bought, what we're doing, and some of the things we've talked about already, what we're going to be progressing with. And all the nurses will be there as well, all the committee members. The 3rd of June, we have a garden party in Jenny Bradley's garden. That's just off the Buttes car park.
Mm-hmm.
And that will all be advertised up there. She's going to do cakes and open up a garden, and there'll be a raffle, a tombola, and various other things going on in there. 13th of July, we've got Jazz on the Lawn, which will be at the Passage Gallery. He's going to open up, and we'll have a saxophonist there playing jazz music. And that again will be afternoon tea. So posh frocks and lots of cakes and lots of fizz. Our Flag Day on the 29th of June. And then on the 7th of August, we've decided this year we're going to do something during Alderney Week. So we're going to have an open afternoon on the Wednesday of Alderney Week. So the whole place will be open again. So you can see behind the scenes. We'll be putting up our wish list and things that we're trying to do and change and what we want to do. We usually have a cake stall. We will have some good as new toys and various beds and bowls and things for sale. You'll be able to meet the staff. We'll have lots of things set up, the microscope, the blood machines, the digital x-rays, everything will be set up so that people can wander around, have a look at what we're doing. And we'll also at that stage be judging. We're doing a children's art competition this year, and we'll be judging that on that day in Alderney Week. And there'll be prizes for the best. I think they're doing 3 categories. There'll be prizes for those. We've got PJ's is sponsoring us, and they are also going to have their hot dog machine there to do hot dogs and things and soft drinks for us as well. And we're also going to be doing an adult art competition, which is done through the art club, and the prize will be awarded on that day. We'll have already judged it before then, and PJ's have agreed to exhibit all the pictures in the PJ's cafe.
That's great. Yeah.
The 2 titles are, for the adult one, it's caring for the island's animals, because that's our strapline, and the children one is just your favorite pet.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to involve the whole community in what we're doing with that.
Well, that's good. And I mean, using Alderney Week as the medium for doing a promotion like that's got to make a lot of sense, isn't it? Because
Yes,
you're going to get it's going to be in the program and everything else,
yeah.
isn't it? On the
Yeah.
radio stations, etc.,
But we
etc.
tried to choose an afternoon where there isn't a lot else going on. So obviously there aren't lots of things going out in the harbour, and just so that we'll be open. It'll be 12 till 4,
Hmm.
and yeah, as many people as we can get there. We'll be doing lots of promotion and lots of adverts will be going out, and obviously, as you say, it'll be in the programme. So that'll be really good. And then in November, I can't tell you what it's going to be, but it's going to be a glam night, and we're working in conjunction with the Bray Beach. It's going to be a red carpet event. This one, posh rock
Wow.
event, and that will be hopefully the end of November. We'll be running that one. So we'll give you more details. We're going to get Alderney Week out of the way, and then we'll give everybody more details on that one. So we try, yeah, just trying to involve everybody and all the businesses as well, which is really good.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Now, tell us about the benefits of membership of the Animal Welfare Society, because
We,
there are discounts available on certain
Yes, there are
items.
discounts. We're very aware that I think a lot of people have read about the CAM report about veterinary practices and costings in the UK and how the corporates can charge pretty well whatever they want to charge because most practices are owned by three main corporates now. A lot of
Yeah.
our small independent practices have been bought up by them. And the Monopolies Commission are now going to be looking at that because they're saying it's been monopolised and people are complaining they're spending thousands when is it really necessary? So we're very aware of that. We're also very aware that in this economic climate that people are struggling a little bit. So we looked at our membership, which we had put up last year to £50, so it's still less than £1 a day. And the benefits were okay. We were concentrating on the preventative care, so it was vaccinations and neutering and prescription diets because they are all preventative.
Yeah.
And we looked very carefully this year and thought, actually, we are going to have to up some of our prices because everything's going up and even the cost of shipping stuff over here. But we didn't want to outprice it. We want people to come to us. We don't want our animals to suffer by not coming. So this year we have changed it and we're actually offering 10% off everything again. So that's every prescription, every operation, every consultation, every nail clip, and then still the preventative care, the vaccinations, the worming. So it'll be 10%. If you become a member, it'll be 10% off everything for the animals in the family of that registered member. So you only have to take one membership out per family. So if you've got 5 dogs, then your quid's in because you're only taking out one membership.
Yeah.
But we just want to put something back in because we obviously have to make enough money to pay our salaries and the vet coming over and our electricity bills, which are huge with all our blood machines and things running. But we also are very aware that we are a welfare society and we are a charity. So that's what we're giving back to the island this year. It's 10% off everything.
And that
And they're
includes
due
boarding.
memberships and boarding, yeah,
Yeah.
including boarding,
Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
lot,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
everything.
That's
So
good.
that will come into the new memberships are due the 1st of June. So everybody will be getting membership reminders and a letter explaining what we're doing and a membership form if people aren't already a member. And we're just asking people to spread the word really because it is actually very beneficial to be a member.
Oh yeah, definitely. We have been for a long, long time, and hopefully will continue to
We'll
be.
continue, yeah. And we also do
Because
a friends of the animal welfare. So if you haven't got pets but you want to support us, that's £25 a year. And then
okay,
you just get a certificate to say you're a friend of
yeah,
Alderney Animal Welfare Society. A
and
lot of our
and
businesses have become friends.
yeah, and you get invited to the various functions
Yeah.
like the AGM and stuff like
Absolutely, and
that. Yeah.
you're kept up to date on what's going on, and yeah, that's just a reminder. The AGM is for members only
All
for
right.
the
Okay.
the
So
AGM on the
friends are
28th.
friends wouldn't be included.
Friends, no friends will be included, but
All
it
right.
is
Not
friends
for the
are classed
general
as
public.
members, but not just the general public. Yeah,
No. Okay,
yeah.
that's fair enough. Now, just taking on a stage further, there's still no charge for euthanasia,
No charge at all. There
irrespective.
may be a charge if we come out to the house for the visit,
Yeah.
just to cover our diesel and coming out for the
Yeah.
visit time. But the actual act of euthanasia, we don't charge at all. That was in Mrs. Cosby's constitution, and
Yes.
that was her one ask when she left us all the buildings and sort of handed it over to us. And then when she died and when her husband died, that we continued to do euthanasias for free because she never wanted to think of an animal suffering because people didn't have the money to pay for it. So that's absolutely free. And
Mm.
again, there is a nurse on call 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So you never need to let your animal suffer. One of us will always come out.
If just out of interest, have you any idea how much the actual cost of the injection would be if you had to pay for it?
In the UK, it can be anything from £80 upwards.
Yeah.
Depends on the time of day and the
Mm.
time of day, time of night. Depends
Mm.
on how far the vet's travelling, if they're going to the house. Bear in mind, most vets in the UK don't do house calls like we can do here.
Yeah.
So it is beneficial over here because it is nice for animals to be in their own
Sure.
environment. It's
Yeah.
much nicer for the owner,
Yeah.
it's nicer for the animal.
Yeah.
So is it, yeah, £80 would probably be the absolute minimal.
How much of that would be the actual cost of the drug?
It's hard to say because it depends on what they use. It depends on whether they need a sedative and then they need an intravenous
Yeah.
injection or what's actually happening. So it's quite hard to say. And drugs vary depending on what the vet's preference is. So it's not something I could actually just give a number for on that one.
Mm.
You're paying for the vet's time, you see. I mean, you're paying for our nurse's time over here, but
Yeah.
that's something we build into our charity workshop.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
we are a
Yeah.
charity over here, and that's why we do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We've talked about chips for cats. What's your view on XL bully dogs? They seem to be
There
alarming.
are some lovely XL bully dogs
Yeah.
around. There tends to be no such thing as a bad dog. It's just bad owners. XL bully dogs were bred for a reason, and their reason was to fight.
Mm.
It's very hard to breed that out over a long period of time. Staffordshire Bull Terriers, XL bullies. It's quite hard to what you actually class as as a bully dog, as a fighting dog. When I was first in practice, our Staffordshire Bull Terriers were the go-to recommendation as a family pet because they were
Really?
so placid. Absolutely. The two that you would go to, that you would recommend would be a Cavalier King Charles and or a Staffordshire Bull Terrier because they were so good with children and so good with other animals.
Mm.
So it's what we've done to them. There are still some beautiful ones around on Ireland, off Ireland in the UK. I don't think you can put a label on a dog and have just a dangerous dog breed. I think you need it to have a legislation that covers responsible pet ownership, and I think that would then cover everything.
And
I mean,
also, Kathy, something needs to be done about these illegal fights, these illegal dog fights. I mean,
yeah,
that still happens. Hair coursing, does that still happen?
hair coursing still takes place in the northwest of the UK. The illegal dog fights, unfortunately, they've almost been driven underground now.
Yeah.
It's like I mean, cockfighting still goes on. People think it's something back from the 1800s, but it isn't. It still goes on, and a lot of it is drug based, alcohol based, gambling based, money based.
Mm.
Because it's gone underground, it's really hard to break it.
And there's that.
And that's why not there haven't been as many recently, but that's why so many dogs are getting stolen because they were literally being stolen to use as bait
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
sold on. It is getting better. People are reporting it. People are picking up on it. People are being more responsible. But all of it goes down to responsible pet ownership. Whether you're an owner of an XL bully or a dog that you've got for dog fighting or a chicken for cockfighting, it's responsible pet ownership. And it's how do you police it? How do you keep tabs on it? It's really difficult. And I don't agree with labeling a dog that these are dangerous dogs. These have to be put to sleep or they have
Mm.
to be um, you can control them without having to go through that because there are, say, probably 80% of them, 85% of them or more are lovely dogs and they're
Yeah.
kept very well and looked after. But they get a reputation. That's the trouble. Rottweilers have gone through it. German Shepherd dogs have gone through this reputation. Dobermans went through it for a long time, and it seems to go from breed to breed to breed. So
But they have actually come out the other side, haven't
yeah,
they?
yeah.
As acceptable animals.
Yes, I think
Where,
some of it, particularly with German Shepherd dogs, I think some of that was the breeding for that sloping hindquarters and the
yeah.
changes they made to them. I'm sure those dogs were in pain, with the hip dysplasia and things like that. I'm sure some of the aggression was due to pain.
Mm.
But they say they've come out the other side. But then they started with the cropped ears and the cropped tails, and then they got labelled again as being very aggressive. Rottweilers were the same. That seems to have, that's quieting down again because it is illegal to crop, and they've made it illegal to import a cropped eared dog now, so that's helped. It's just a fad. That's the trouble, but it's a very dangerous fad.
Yeah.
And if you've got a dog, if you have a bully, any dog, a terrier, any dog that you have bred for hair coursing, for fighting, it will be aggressive and it will be a dangerous dog.
Mm.
We took on board a terrier as a rescue dog when we were in Lancashire, and it turned out he'd been used for hair coursing. And if you ever had hold of him and just said to him, "Go on, then," he would just go and attack anything that was in front of him because that was the signal. That's what he'd been taught of, "Go on, then," and that was to chase the hare. So you had
Blind
to be very
obedience.
careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yet, so it was. Fortunately, we took him on, and we had him till he was 19. I think if he'd gone to any other family, he'd have ended up being put to sleep because he was a liability until you learned how to deal with him. So there's no such thing as a bad dog, just
Mm.
irresponsible bad owners.
Yeah. 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 It's a shame, isn't it? But as you
It
say,
is.
it happens, and there we are. I've
Mm.
really enjoyed having our chat today, and I'm so pleased that last year was a great success. I hope this year is going to be good for you.
Hope so. We've taken on a new kennel category supervisor this year. So
Right.
we've bitten the bullet and decided that we've taken someone on full time for a year So it's make or break. So it's down to the residents of Alderney now. It's
Right.
going to be use us or lose us, because we can't afford to pay somebody if there's
No,
nothing in the council
yeah,
pantry.
they've got to actually be
Yeah,
horrible word productive, haven't they?
yeah,
In
and
terms
I
of
understand that times have changed. A lot of people don't like the idea of putting their dogs in kennels, but our new supervisor, Taylor, is with them a lot. She walks them for miles. She treats them like her own. She'll take them
yeah,
home with her if
yeah,
they mix with, at home. Um, it- we have to have the kennels because we need it for things like in Carole's name. So if someone gets rushed into hospital or
yeah,
someone has to go on an urgent, but we've felt for the last few years it's very much been everybody wants us, but they don't want to use us until it's an emergency.
yeah. That's
We
right.
went through this a bit with the clinic, and so if we can open that up and go, actually, this is what we can offer. This is all the enrichment that we can now offer. We've got the rug, the dog bed washing service. We've got the horse rug washing service. We've got, the dogs will be looked after and walked, and you'll get a WhatsApp photograph every day if you want it to see what they're doing. But it is very much use it or lose it, because we can't afford to pay a salary for someone to not have anything to do when they're up there until
Yeah,
somebody decides they want to go away for the day.
yeah.
But we'll be doing lots of promotion, and I'm sure Taylor will. She's embraced it. She's only been with us a week, but she's already embraced it and is driving everything forward. So I'm hoping that it's going to go from strength to strength.
That's great, Kathy. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you for asking me, and
My
hopefully we'll
pleasure.
see you at some of these events.
Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Bye bye.